Okay, tell me a little bit about what you've noticed or the differences.
Well, for me, I've noticed it's a lot harder to get people to pay for something they already have as opposed to buy something new. So I kind of feel like in what I'm more trained to do when I'm cold calling is get them to like give money for something that they're not going to receive anything after they get the money, if that makes sense.
You're saying that's harder?
Yeah, it's most of the time when I would get somebody on the phone for that, they would just hang up. They wouldn't even wait to hear what I had to say.
Right.
Just the rate of getting somebody to stay on the line is a lot longer. But I'm wondering if maybe because I'm used to getting them in the mindset of, okay, well, you did buy this and you need to pay this, it's going to mess up your credit. If there's something that I could do that I'm not doing because I'm not used to this type of cold calling.
Okay, good. So let's let's explore that for a second. So good morning, everybody. Heather and I we just started a couple minutes early, and we're talking about Heather has a background in doing a lot of cold calling. Hang on one sec. Make sure I'll let everyone hear this. Okay, good morning, everyone. So Heather and I are just chatting a little bit about the differences in her cold calling approach when she's dealing with potential buyers and sellers versus some of her previous experience, which is in debt collection and timeshare sales. So Heather was kind of just starting to explain kind of the differences. And I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. You tell me if I'm getting this correct. So when you're spending time calling people that owe a debt, generally they're not particularly excited to hear from you, and they well, actually, why don't you explain? Why don't you summarize one for me?
Basically, when you call them, if they even stay on the line at all after you said where you're from, they're more hostile. So I spend more of the time trying to de-escalate the situation and just have them not be upset. But
right.
I was basically just wondering, like, with what I could be doing different, because with debt collecting, you're trying to get somebody to pay for something that they've already had and lost or had and used. And so there's no like desire for them to, there's no enticing them to buy it because they don't benefit in the right then and now from giving you the money. Whereas opposed to selling their house, that's something that, you know, they want to do, or buy a house they want to do. So it's just totally a different type of thing.
Okay, so what types of appeal did you use? What types of techniques did you use in your previous work to get them to do what you wanted them to do?
Basically, we use something called a hardship application. And just so you guys know, there's no such thing as a hardship application. We would tell them that we can take this hardship application and give it to the attorney, and they can maybe reduce the debt or put them on a payment plan. And you basically just use that info to get their bank account number and what they are paying and what their kind of debt looks like, where they're working. And we mostly got that just so that when the attorneys do file the judgment, they can get a lien. So most of the time it wasn't even really about getting them on a payment plan. It was about getting the information for the hardship application.
Oh, good. Okay, so we know that all those people are liars.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, great. That makes me feel great. Okay, and so really that's a bit of a bubble. Like, how do we deal with that specific situation? And I'm trying to think of ways that you can like adopt some of those techniques in our industry, and I'm running up a little wall here, but I think when you are so I've been teaching the attitude that you should be taking when you're making these phone calls is that you are a professional real estate agent who is going to work harder than the average agent, who's more knowledgeable and more skilled and more genuine than the average agent, and you have a genuine desire to see if they can be helped by you, right? If you can help them. So it's really just a series of like, you're not going to get somebody on the phone and then like say, okay, sit right there. My presentation only takes 20 minutes. Right. That's not really the way that it works. The way that it works is simply asking them questions that are already predetermined in an appropriate order that basically says, you know, is there a need here? right? What is your motivation, or do you even have a motivation, right? Is it connected to a time frame? And is there anything that I can do to assist you? Are you having any trouble right now, right? So yeah, I'd say the biggest takeaway that you can make from your previous experience is not necessarily some like technique or script. It's simply, you know, that you can literally make thousands and thousands and thousands of calls, and at the end of it, you're still going to be alive, right? That's the biggest takeaway, because a lot of times people are just scared to death about making a phone call, right? And you are proof that not only can you achieve the desired results, but that no one's going to be hurt in the meantime.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. And you probably like introduced that idea of that hardship letter by appealing to their like kind of deep, somewhere in their soul, their desire to know that paying back money for this debt is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did that address your question?
It did. Yeah, it did.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I want to just take a quick minute to welcome everybody. Good morning. We have one of our new agents, actually our newest agent to the Roswell Market Center. Her name is Rhonda Mapp. She is on the call right now. She will have a nice fancy camera here in a couple of days, but for now, she looks like a black square. We're fixing that. Rhonda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so Rhonda's actually been in the business for quite a while. She spent a good amount of time in new home construction sales. So she is kind of bringing a ton of that experience to the Market Center, and I'm excited to continue to learn, and hopefully you guys can learn too from where she's had her successes and where she's had her challenges, and we all continue to grow together. All right, we talked yesterday about committing to a certain amount of calls that most likely would be above, or contacts I should say, that most likely would be above the number that is required according to your plan, to commit to that like a bold 15 or a bold 20 or something like that every day until you got a listing. I know Brian was kind of the first person to raise his hand and say, I'm in. And I believe Ebony decided she was going to be in on that yesterday as well. Does anyone want to share any of their experiences, or does anyone want to volunteer to be on that train? What are we experiencing? Morning, Liz. All right, you guys need some coffee, huh? You must be saving up all your energy for our 12 o'clock session and our 1 o'clock session, is that right? Coffee is definitely needed. Okay. What would you guys like to talk about this morning? Oh my goodness, is my sound not working? All right.
How about anybody else got open houses? Maybe the open house script when somebody walks in the house.
Oh, good. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, so if you were to ask 20 realtors, you're going to get 20 different explanations for this. So I'm just going to share a couple of ideas that I think are beneficial. Okay, so let's put ourselves in the mindset of the person coming into the door. Okay, for a second. When you're coming into the door, you just kind of want to see the place and look around and kind of be left alone. It's this idea, it's kind of like going into the department store and you're looking for a tie or something, right? Or you're looking for a pair of pants. Like, you just kind of want to look around for a second. You don't want the salesperson to like run up to you and hey, what do you need? What size are you? Do you want blue? Do you want black? Do you want green? Like, just give me some space. If I got some questions, I'll come to you. It's similar to that. Okay, more than likely, the people that are coming to your open house, that's not the only open house that they're going to that day. Is that fair to say? Okay, so
Yeah.
they're probably going to more than one open house. The other thing that we can assume about this person is that, again, I'm making some generalizations here. I'm probably right more often than I'm wrong, but I'm not always going to be right. Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the person either does not have a real estate agent, or they don't quite understand that they should be going to look for property with their agent, right? So I would say the vast majority of people that walk into an open house are either unrepresented or at worst need a education about how buyer agency works. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to be nice and cordial and helpful. I'm not a huge fan of sticking the sign-in sheet right in their face when they walk in the door. They don't want that. It's not going to be helpful. Okay, I would just, I would probably set up my little station over in the kitchen, right? And I would just welcome them and say, hey, good morning. You know, how's your day going? You know, just make cordial conversation. And then you might want to mention one or two features about the house that they might not obviously see, right? So let me give you a couple of examples of what that might be. We have, you know, in the basement, we have a full surround, you know, sound stereo system. Or don't forget to see the luxury jacuzzi tub in the master bath. Or, you know, there's a really big storage closet in the upstairs foyer. Or, you know, we just installed new sinks in the master bath. So, something that's like slightly unique, something that they might not see on their own. You can point out that it's there. Everyone follow me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what I would generally do is say, you know, please take a minute to look around. Okay. Now I'm going to come back at the end and talk about how to adjust all these things with respect to COVID. Okay. So, so they're looking around, and then what we want to do at the end is I'm also not a huge fan of like finding them in another room. 100%. Rhonda, we'll get back to that in a second with our discussion about COVID, okay? So I'm not a huge fan of like finding them in like the master bathroom and like standing by the door and drilling them with questions about whether they have an agent or not, or when they want to buy, right? So when they come back to the home, or when they come back to that kind of main area of the house, you say, you know, the seller has asked that we have a record of everyone that comes into the home. So would you mind putting down your contact information here? Okay, and the contact information I think is most relevant is name, email, cell phone, home address. Okay, and you can ask the question like, have you seen any other homes today? Real open-ended, real vague question. Have you seen any other homes today? And they'll say, yeah, my agent's out of town. His name is Joe. He's with Coldwell Banker. Call him if you have any questions. Okay, cool. We know that's not a candidate. Okay. But if they say, no, today's our first day out looking, you know, this house isn't for us, right? It's too small or something. So you could say, oh, tell me a little bit more about the property you're looking for, right? Open-ended, vague questions. Tell me a little bit more about the property you're looking for. Are you trying to be in a particular school district? Are you trying to be in, you know, what do you have to have in the home? Do you need a flat backyard? Do you need to be a part of a community with a swim and tennis? Do you need a basement? Is there anything that you have to have? Right. What you're trying to do is open them up to the fact that a search app would be really helpful, right? Or maybe a neighborhood nurture smart plan, which we're going to talk a little bit more about today at 12 with Susan, would be helpful for them, right? Well, the only way you're going to actually be able to give them that information is by is by getting it from them, right? You're going to need their real email. You're going to need their real address so that the information you share with them is valid, right? So what we're trying to do is figure out what information can we communicate with them in the future that will be helpful for them. What we're really trying to do is create a better experience in that moment than any other experience they've had with other agents that day or anytime they've visited another open house, right? Because again, most likely they are going to other open houses. Most likely, most agents are going to run up to them when they walk in the door and be like, sign here, please, right now. Can't walk in the door without signing up here, right? And they're like, I don't like this person, right? So be a little bit, I would suggest being a little bit more casual about it. However, make sure that you get their information if possible. And you could also say something to the effect of, we work in a large coaching group, and agents in our office are always talking about properties that are going to be coming onto the market. If I were to find something that meets your needs prior to it coming on the market, is that something you'd like me to alert you about, right? Ooh, now all of a sudden, if I'm in relationship with Kim can get me properties that might be available before anyone else knows about them, right? So they might be experiencing the fact that it's tough to find, particularly in certain price ranges, it's tough to find properties and get them without having to deal with multiple offers and all this other stuff. So wouldn't it be nice if I could know about a property before it became available, or before it was, published online, so to speak, right? So that might be a tool or a technique that you use to create that unique relationship. Follow all that? The next step, by the way, is what you do after that exchange, okay? So remember, let's just say they went to 3 open houses that day. Whether they realize it or not, they're probably interviewing agents. So again, how can we make our experience different or more superior to the experiences they've had with the other agents they met that day or that they may know, right? So let me give you a clue. Waiting till Tuesday to write a handwritten note and then receiving it Saturday isn't going to cut it. That's not going to create any unique experience, okay? So I would probably pop those handwritten notes in the mail that night. Okay, I would also probably send them a little video text. Hey, Joe, this is Kim. It was so nice to meet you and your wife at the open house on Main Street earlier this afternoon. I'm really excited for you guys, moving to Atlanta from Chicago for your new job. And I would love an opportunity to answer any questions that you may have and help you guys as best as I can in the future. Please let me know. Meanwhile, you know what they want now, right? So maybe Monday you pop them another listing that says, I just was looking at the market like normal every day, and I saw this home and I thought of you. Is this, what do you think about this property, right? So now you kind of, you ask the questions, well, what is this person looking for? What's important to me, right? By the way, if they say they need a basement, send them a home with a basement. If they say they need a basement, you send them a home without a basement, it's proof you're not even paying attention. Okay, so pay attention if you're going to ask these questions, and record down the information somewhere where you do not forget. Okay, and if that means that you ask them a bunch of questions and you are speaking into your phone, she likes 3-bedroom homes in Woodstock in this particular school district with a basement, right? And later on you record that into your notes. Okay. All right, any questions on that? And then I'll cover some stuff about COVID. Okay, so here's the deal with COVID. Number one, you got to get permission from your seller even to do an open house. Okay, I got to be honest with you. If I was selling my house right now, I'm not so sure I'd want open houses, to be honest. So first of all, you got to get permission from your seller to do the open house. Secondly, remember, your main objective is to sell their property and to market it to the community. Your main objective is not to do open houses because you desire to do open houses. We're servicing them, right? All the benefits of servicing them are secondary to you. Does that make sense? So if they say no to open houses, it is just what it is, okay? If they say yes to open houses, then you might ask questions like, so tell me a little bit about, let me tell you what I have in mind and you tell me if you're comfortable with this, right? So I would suggest having a little table or a little something like at the front door maybe. Actually, Heather, you've done a really good job with kind of controlling the flow. One of the things that I was about to explain was trying to make it possible where only one family would come in at once. And one of the best ways to do that is to host an open house with more than one person. Not to scare you guys, but there was another issue, like, what was that, like 3 weeks ago or so in Virginia, where actually a Keller Williams agent was attacked and was hit repeatedly with like a wrench or something like that. And she was hosting an open house. So clearly that's not going to happen every time you host an open house. However, we need to be very careful with putting ourselves into positions that are compromising. So Heather, can you explain for a second what you've done with the sign in and the controlling so one party comes in at once?
I created a sign that I hang on the door, and it says that we're practicing social distancing and only one group of people can come in to look at the home at a time. And I have a small table that I set up. I bought 2 camp tables that I bought presentation tablecloths for, those black kind that come down and look kind of professional, that they go tight to the corners. You usually see them at events. But I bought those, and I set up a tub of drinks on one outside the door with ice and say, please enjoy a cold drink. Ring the doorbell, and if I don't get here right away, I'm showing the home to somebody else. Please enjoy a cold drink while you wait. And I might have some information about the house out there. I might not. It kind of depends on how I feel about the home, because if you have the information out there, they might just take it and go, and you have no interaction.
I wouldn't put a flyer out there that says that it's a 3-bedroom home for $220, because if they need a 4-bed or they can't afford $220, they're out the door.
But I might put safe buyer techniques, or things you can consider as a buyer, or things that aren't about the home but are about the home buying process.
Oh, I love that. Great. I love
so
that.
They have something to do while they're out there. Then once they walk in the door, once they're coming through, I have a second table that I have set up, because I've found that people don't have a lot of imagination. And if they see the countertop all cluttered over with my stuff, they can't imagine their stuff there. But if I have a presentation table, it's very obviously not usually there.
Right.
And so it just psychologically, like, here's the presentation table, and that's where I put all of my stuff. And it's good to have a sanitation station right when you're coming in. So it's like, okay, thank you for coming in. Here's the hand sanitizer. Here's the booties if people require booties. I haven't had, I don't know if it's changed, but it's been that I need to wear a mask, but for them it's optional. But I do go through, I ask them before they start walking, do you want me to go with you and open all doors and take care of like touching like any surfaces for you? Because then it's not just I'm going along to talk to them. It's I'm the one opening the doors. I'll walk behind them yet, but I'll come up and I'll open the door for them if they want that door opened. I think that's like most of the COVID part.
And then when you've done an open house with more than one person there, who does what role? What's the other person?
It depends, because I've been doing 2 different kinds of other people. Sometimes it's with another agent, sometimes it's with a non-agent. So if there are 2 agents, then one person, when the door rings, they can wait outside with them and start talking to them, and we just go every other person. That's our person. So it's my potential buyer contact if I'm the one who answers the door. We're just doing that every other time. And that way it's, there's no, oh, that's a good one, it's a bad one. It's just roll of the dice, whether you get it or not. If I'm doing, there are also people who are going to school for real estate, or different things, and they're kind of interested, and they're people that I want in my downline, and I will invite them with and say, hey, I've heard that you want to go to real estate school. I heard you want to be an agent. Would you like to come host an open house with me? And if you do, you need to understand you can't present the home, but you can answer the door, welcome them in. You don't know anything about the house, refer them to me, refer them to me, refer them to me, but you can kind of see the process.
Okay, I think that's a cool idea as well. There was a question that was asked about, can a non-licensed person be there for security purposes? 100%. 100%. I would actually suggest that. You know, we live in a crazy world, you guys. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever.
The last open house I did, I couldn't find an agent or a potential agent. I had my boyfriend come with me.
100%. 100%. Like Heather alluded to, there are certain things that a non-licensed person should not and cannot do, right? They shouldn't be answering questions about the house and that kind of stuff. The mask thing, that's, again, the final decision maker there is the seller. The seller gets the right to kind of lay these are the ground rules of how you can deal with my home, and whether masks are optional or required or whatever. And then you, as the agent, get an opportunity to make those rules more stringent to fit your needs, right? Not to get into any mask controversy right now, no one's coming into my open house without a mask. Okay, so if you feel strongly about that, that's just the rule. You can blame it on the sellers. Okay.
I did have some people come to my last open house that did not want to enter the home and didn't want to take anything with them. They just wanted to walk around the exterior, and then if they liked the exterior, look up the home when they got home. Yeah.
So be cognizant of people's different opinions of what's going on, and their needs to feel safe and secure. The more you are compassionate to that, and the more questions you ask to, like, would you like me to open the door for you? Like, people really appreciate that. That's a really smart move, Heather.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about open houses? Did I cover everything that you were hoping for, Liz? All right, very good.
What about security when we're doing, you know, the code calls, or we're doing the for sale by owners and we're going to go look at their house and we go by ourselves? Is there any precautions we need to take in that case?
Ah, man. I would say that it's very rare that you would bring somebody to an appointment like that. However, if you feel that that is something that would make you feel more comfortable, then I would absolutely say do it. You know, we're in the business of meeting strangers, guys. So there's like, you know, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, you know, that's why we suggest doing a in-office or in public place buyer consultation first, right? You could always ask them to, you know, hey, it's office policy that I have a copy of your driver's license, right? If they won't send you a copy of the driver's license, they're probably not legitimate, right? You could blame any extra safety procedures that you want to put into your system. You can blame on the office. Okay, my broker requires this. My broker requires that. My broker requires that. Okay, if you have any weird feeling, don't go. Okay, I got a call from Peggy Connors. This is probably like 6 months ago, maybe, and she wrote me and she said, or she called me and she said, hey, I just don't have a great feeling about this. I got $1 million plus listing and this guy wants to come and see it. He claims to be a cash buyer. Like, I don't want to turn down $1 million cash buyer, but I just don't feel right about this. And so we looked into it a little bit more, and the guy had just gotten out of jail for like sex crimes. Like, just trust your gut. Okay, there's no prospect or client that is worth putting yourself into a situation like that, and there is no transaction or commission check that is that important. Okay, so short answer, if you feel more comfortable bringing a second person along, do it. Do it. And you can introduce them as somebody that's training, or hey, this is my my husband. We're, you know, he's just gonna hang out in the car or something. Look, if they don't like it, that's their problem. You're running a business, you need to feel comfortable, period. Okay. And by the way, you can do things like, you know, anybody, any prospect, you should Google. You should look them up on Facebook. You should look them up on Instagram. I haven't heard anything lately about this, but we were putting together an office group that we were putting together an office group for something called Forewarn, FOREWARN, WARN.com, which is it's kind of like it's almost like a private investigator app, and you can be a part of like our group plan. We're putting together a group plan for the 3 offices, and this allows you to basically look up any of your prospects or any of, you know, anybody that calls in on a listing, or the owner of a home that you have booked an appointment for through a cold call or something who you don't have a relationship with, you know, somebody that didn't come to you as a warm lead or a warm referral, and you can look them up, see if they have any arrest history, or if they're a sex offender, or if they are, you know, have a warrants out for their arrest. You can see how old they are. You can see a lot of different stuff. Did I not, Heather? Did I mispronounce it?
No, I was just asking a question if it can be like Vulcan 7 or.
Oh, meaning free.
For the group. I didn't know if that can be something that we have a group login, or I didn't want to ask that like wise, but I didn't know.
You put me on the spot. I can certainly talk to everyone about. I don't know how much it was going to be. I don't know if it's like a, you know, if it's like $10 or something, or if it's like.
Last I saw it was $12 a month.
And that's for unlimited lookups. I don't know how we would. I'm not sure. I have to ask Aubrey or
Okay.
or whoever's kind of leading the charge on that. But if we can have one login and all of us can use that login, I don't know if that would work, but if it would, I'll pay the $12. I mean, I want you guys to feel comfortable about it. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, let's review a couple of scheduling stuff. So today in this room, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, Susan Corley is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit about command and texting through command. And we're also going to get to know her a little bit better and hear her story. She has been, as many of you know, of course, one of a top agent in our office. She's been on Agent Leadership Council. She was served as assistant team leader with me as team leader. So we ran the office together for about 1.5 years. And she's back in sales, and she is our lead agent mentor now. So we're going to get to know her. That's from 12 to 1. And then from 1 to 2 is going to be our launch mastermind. So I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor. If there's any particular topics you want to discuss during the launch mastermind, send them to me this morning, because I have a sneaking suspicion that Susan is probably going to have more than an hour of content. And I want to be respectful of the mastermind and cover any topics that you want to cover, but also allow Susan to run over if you guys are getting good content from her and she's able to do that, okay? Next week, we had some requests for somebody from leadership coming in and talking about opportunities within command, and setting up, you know, making sure we all know how to do the, how to separate all the money, how does everyone get paid and all of that. So Robin Taylor, who she's our alliance partner. You go get that listing, Ebony. That's the only reason you can leave now. Close them, bring some paperwork. So Wednesday from 12 to 2, 12 to 2 on Wednesday. We're going to have a little bonus class that is, we're going to call it Dive into Command Opportunities. I came up with that myself, okay? Robin and most likely Leanza are going to come onto the call and do a lot of screen sharing and walk you guys through some of the cool tools that Command includes, including getting paid through Command. And I can't imagine that taking anywhere near 2 hours. So we're basically going to have two tech dudes on the call to talk about all the different variety of stuff that Command can do. Okay, so it's going to be hopefully a good Q&A interactive session with the two of them. Okay, I sent out the schedule last night on the WhatsApp. So we have Basic Skills Camp Monday from 2 to 3. We have our Emerging and Growth Mastermind for Tuesday from 4 to 5. Our all group session from 3 to 4 on Thursday. Our Launch Mastermind and Success Series next Friday as well, 12 to 1 and 1 to 2. And then this bonus class from 12 to 2 on Wednesday. Okay. If you have not already reported your numbers for the first week in July and your goals for the second week, please do so. We're off to a pretty good start. I'm proud of you guys. And for those that have some questions about what a daily commitment of contacts would be to get a listing, let's talk about that privately offline, okay? Any questions?
No.
All right, y'all have an awesome afternoon, morning. Let's go get some appointments, and then I'll see you back here at 12 o'clock. And I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.